Well, what is going on, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to their Esports Talk episode, a very interesting one at that, because today we get to dive into the public financials of an esports organization, which, by the way, we don't get to do too often, and the first time here on this show, we'll be looking at Luminosity Gaming, some of their revenue streams, their now public actual information out there, because most esports orgs and their parent companies / subsidiaries, however they are invested in or merged with, a lot of the companies they do choose to actually merge with, keep this kind of stuff public. Not in the case of LG, who have now partnered and merged with Enthusiast Gaming, who keeps these things all on public record. I will be comparing a few of these numbers to that of Astralis because besides from these two, we don't know many public financials out there, but it's very, very interesting to see the decline of some things and incline of some things as well for Luminosity Gaming, and the future of esports rides a lot on these numbers. So let's break it down, guys, and again, this Twitter thread will be linked down below for all of you. It's some great insight on maybe some of your guys' favorite esports organizations. That's going to be LG, who, by the way, maintained a profit in both 2016 and 2018. I would say quite impressively. We all know the struggle between that and other esports orgs and actually being profitable. That means making money, not just revenue, but actual profit. For LG, almost $1 million in 2016. Not nearly as much in 2018, but in this world as well, profit is profit. They had a net loss in 2017 that was not much of one, but besides that, it's great to see that nearly $1 million in 2016, which, by the way, later on, they contribute a lot of that success to and a lot of those sales to their widely regarded success in CSGO. Shouts. But I do widely believe, especially in 2019 and 2018, was a bit lower than I thought, because they've kind of found their niche attributed to their Fortnite streaming income, which, yes, is very weird. Not too many organizations, at least now, because none are public. I didn't realize we're making this much money off of Fortnite streaming, which can be a bit scary in an industry and a game out there like Fortnite, which is certainly in itself declining. Still a great game out there, still a big game as well, but certainly if that's your main stream of revenue, which it does seem to be for Luminosity Gaming, yes, 60% of the revenue was actually derived from Fortnite streaming income throughout 2018, which is pretty crazy. They've actually gotten pretty lucky with a lot of their Fortnite signings, and you see the hours streamed of Fortnite for their creators compared to others. It makes a lot of sense why they're constantly hiring for their Fortnite team. They must be signing some sort of deal out there that's pretty good in terms of their favor, and hopefully good enough for the guys as well. But yes, a majority of their revenue is coming from Fortnite streaming, which I thought was very peculiar, and again, also kind of scary. You will also probably notice a great downward trend in sponsorship money they've actually accrued ever since 2016, down in 2017, down in 2018, even further, just over $200,000 in sponsorships across the entire year to maintain the entire organization. You can imagine how much of a struggle that would maybe be for the future. Alongside that, we compare that downward trend to Astralis, who, by the way, they've recently established their IPO. They'll be going public for the stock trading market, which is pretty crazy. We've talked about that a couple of times here on the channel sometime late this year, as compared to LG, who has a downward trend in sponsorships. It's actually Astralis coming forward in that IPO prospectus, where they must come forward about more knowledge of their future recommendations or future assumptions for the organization, as they do expect sponsorships to double next year, and then between 2020 and 2021 to actually increase 40% more. So LG sponsorships, obviously with their success across esports besides Fortnite, it's going down. Astralis, their success in CSGO and League of Legends, and hopefully others as well, their sponsorships, they've been acquiring some big ones in especially the CSGO scene, and so they're definitely going, I would say, in inverse directions. Yeah. In the Twitter account who broke this all down, they also do take note that apparently LG has accounted those sales, that drop in sales from 2016, where they were nearly over $1 million in profit, which again is pretty impressive. Ever since that drop off, though, is because of the lack of success in their CSGO team. 2016 LG was a great time for CSGO and the Brazilian scene for this organization. Ever since then, they had a huge fall off, and then just this past month or two ago, their Luminosity Gaming CSGO roster, they disbanded. So that's why they're trying to attribute for all those fall-offs in terms of sales and revenue, is because a large portion of it came from CSGO and a great success they saw there, which is very peculiar because now we have LG, who, by the way, in total of 2018 brought in just shy, or I guess you could say just over $3 million in revenue, and now they've merged, and all of a sudden with that $3 million-ish in revenue, they're going to pay $25 million with, of course, their merger and their partner in this, or their other company being involved in this. They're now going to drop $25 million plus a bunch of salaries for Call of Duty in the unknown return of investment market there. That to me seems seems wild. We've now seen our top 13 teams in esports valuations across 2018. A lot of your favorite organizations are up there, only bringing in anywhere from, I would say, 20 to maybe $35 million in revenue. LG, by the way, is not one of those top 13 esports valuated organizations. They've now merged, and alongside that, they're bringing in just over $3 million total in revenue, but have now decided with their partner to actually invest 25 plus million into Call of Duty. That to me seems weird. But besides that, also lastly, I would say the interesting stuff found in this, and again, the thread will be down below. I love reading through this stuff. I think it's great insight for all of us to understand, how much is LG making? How much does it take to run an organization? And where is their success being drawn from? For LG, they found their niche in Fortnite streaming. But for, FaZe Clan, 100 Thieves, for Liquid, it might be all different streams of income. I would love to death if all that information actually came public, because we could really compare how each and every single esports organization is making their money and how much they're making. Very lastly, though, LG, a big portion of their revenue, or at least a decent portion, I should say, a surprising amount of just over $110,000 in 2018 was paid to them by the Vancouver Titans. The Overwatch team apparently paying LG to help manage their team for a very short period of time. That's a pretty hefty sum to pay. I believe the only other team that I've known about this actually doing this is the Sentinels organization. They were actually taking care of the LA Gladiators and their Overwatch team, and they were paid for that as well until they split ways. So it seems that $113,000 for what also maybe only a few months venture, that's a pretty big revenue there, which will not be continued, I do believe, in 2019, but still $113,000 to take care of your Overwatch team. Not bad. And those are the financials of course, Luminosity Gaming, guys. Obviously very different from Astralis and what we've seen from them. Astralis seem to be very much growing and going for their own IPO and, of course, trying to bring in further investment. I believe Astralis valuation right now is right around the 60 million mark in a rough area ballpark as well. LG is probably far below that, but it's always great seeing financials, and this one was definitely very curious. Hopefully more comes out in the future. If it does, I will, of course, break it down here for all of you guys. What surprised you? What didn't surprise you? Until next time, take care. Drink coffee. I'll see y'all back here sometime soon.